scheduling agreement, so we had to go out and find some games, and we had another school, St. Andrews University, shut down, so we had to shuffle again. So not a big fan of the early bye, but it fell where it fell, and we recharged our batteries a little bit. You say, hey, it's really early in the season, but when you look at it, a month of fall camp, and then we're still 6 weeks with all these knuckleheads have been together 6 weeks arguing and chippy, and so getting a day or two to get away from each other is probably not the end of the world.
May not be, Coach. When we talked to Coach Elliott last week. One of the things that he said was that typically for a college football team, the biggest improvement is from week 1 to week 2. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's what I've always been told. As a player and as a coach, and I believe there's some truth to that. And I think we've improved a lot and addressed some things. And if you go back and which we will on the recap, there were some really good moments in that game, even though it pulled away from us a little bit there at the end.
Georgetown, they're a top 10 team. They're playing at home. We knew that was going to be an uphill climb all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. We got out there and, had a couple young guys. They're wide-eyed, and we had a couple big plays against us on the defensive side of the ball, and then those guys figured life out. And offensively, if you look at it, Xavier hadn't been a starter in a couple years, and he jumped out there off the Greyhound bus station and threw for a career high. So he said, Coach, once I got hit that first time, it kind of all came back to me. So, if you look at that ball game, nearly 500 yards total offense, 25 first downs. A couple guys broke some records, but really honestly, if you go back and look at the third quarter, the fumble we had down there on the 3-yard line, we're going to tie it up, then we get another we have another fumble, on the 8-yard line going in to tie it up. There was just some moments there that, it's always 5 or 6 snaps that, determine whether you win by 70, you get beat by 70, you win by, 6, or you get beat by 6. So, I think our guys understand that there were some areas of that ball game that really hurt us. One were the turnovers. One was spotting 14 points right out the gate.
Yeah.
And then, there was some lost yardage in the kicking game to Coach Miner's getting straight. So, I feel confident in some of the things we did, and I look at the things that we did poorly. They were all fixable items. We can get to work and get those fixed real quickly.
I'd feel good about X coming out with 400 yards passing. I mean, like you said, his last start was November of 2 years ago, so it's been a while.
It's an interesting deal when you look at it. Everybody said, "Oh, you're not going to be very good. You lost that quarterback." Well, we've got an all-conference quarterback that's slinging the ball for us right now. It's just been a little while, and it's like riding a bike. He just got back on it and got busy with it. So, I've got a lot of respect for Xavier Malone as a person, as a quarterback, just as I did, his predecessor here and Lee Kirkland. And, I think if you look at our offense, there's 2 offensive family trees that are the most prolific passing offenses in the history of football, and that's probably the Mouse Davis run and shoot, and that's the Hal Mummy Mike Leach air raid. And if you look at what we do, it's very similar to what Coach Mummy was doing, even at Iowa Wesleyan back in the 90s and 80s. So I try to tell people, like, if you got some moderate ability from the neck up in terms of football IQ, you're going to have success in our system as a quarterback. It may be different in different ways, but when you throw it 58 times, somebody's going to have stats, either the defense or the offense.
And speaking of the predecessor, got a visit from him before the game Saturday?
Yeah, we had a bunch of old Bears show up to that Georgetown game, so that's always a good thing to see those guys in and around the program, and that love this place and want to come back and visit. So, I guess this is the 25th year of 25th anniversary of Pikeville College and University of Pikeville football. So, we hope a lot of those old Bears come back and support us as the year goes on.
The very first football game we ever played was at Georgetown, and
really
had them on the ropes in the fourth quarter. So that's the only time we lost that whole year.
Yeah, way cool.
It goes back a long way, Coach. Looking at Campbellsville now, what do you see there? You told me you thought they might be the best team in that league.
Yeah, I think Jake Russell's done an outstanding job. If you look at his roster, he's taken a lot of good players from a lot of people. And if you look at it's kind of who's who of AAC schools and Mid-South schools and other transfers and stuff. And I'm no stranger to transfer students either, so that doesn't bother me. But he's done a good job there. They were 8-3 last year, 2-0. we lost to them by 1 point here at home last year and beat them by 1 point there the previous year. So it's become a pretty good game. I think some people think it's a rivalry. I just think it's the next non-conference ball game, to be honest.
And you move right on there.
Yeah.
What do they do offensively, Coach?
Yeah, offensively, they're going to throw the ball a little bit, run it well, a bunch of counter scheme and gap scheme stuff, and then some RPO stuff, and defensively, I think Jody Ford, their defense coordinator, does an outstanding job. He was a head coach of Central Methodist at one point, had some success there, does some good stuff, and they got some 4-down packages, 3-down packages. They're going to bring the corner blitz. They're going to bring guys off the edge. They're going to play cover 2 and cover 4, and they're going to play little cover 3, and they do a good job of keeping things in front of them and then trying to get some takeaways. So, it should be an exciting night out there in Campbellsville.
How important are the 5 to 8 seconds before the snap for X?
Oh man,
when you're looking at all those different things that they could do.
Yeah, I think snap decisions for quarterbacks is it, man. If you're afraid to make a decision in the moment, you can't play quarterback and you can't be a play caller, and there's a lot of things you can't do. You're down that coal mine today, and you got to make some decisions here in Eastern Kentucky. You got to do it. If you're over at the business office at UPIKE and you got to make some decisions, you got to do it. So I just feel like it's important, but that's part of life. And our system, not to go into great detail, has a lot of different options and the ability to do different things. So, X is an old veteran, 32 years old or something, I don't know. But he's still got
he is probably as old as some of your coaches.
Yeah, he's still got a good head of hair. I joke that, me and X rode to prom in the same limo. So, I mean, neither of our dates were very good looking that night.
Well, it happens. Coach, one thing that I know because it's my job, you may not know, Amon Williams has a school record going right now in that he has scored a touchdown in 9 straight games, whether receiving or rushing. He's got to be just such a comfort for any quarterback back there.
Yeah, and a great person, great human being. And, we talk about a lot of that with our guys, but it really is the case with him. So, I think it's an interesting deal when you look at it. I think we got the best tight end and the best running back in the league. So that's a comfort zone, for, kind of like a security blanket for any good quarterback.
And those are 2 valuable positions. When you've got a guy out of the backfield who can run the ball or he can drop out and catch it for you and then make something happen.
Yeah.
That's pretty valuable.
Yeah, we talk a lot about in the air raid, when you're in trouble, find your back. It might be his fault because he should have blocked somebody. But,
But if he didn't block somebody, there's a good chance it's going to be open because they're on the other side of it. He told me last week that his goal was 2,000 yards of total offense.
Yeah.
And he had about 160, 170 last week.
Yeah, so. He did. So he could have tamed that goal. He's that kind of player, and but I think he's also a guy that understands that I will give up me for the win. I will give up I for the win.
All right, Coach, we're going to get started with some of the players, and I did ask you before the show that instead of an assistant, I want you to come back so we can talk about something different in the last segment of the show, something that I know we've been through, and we'll talk about that later. But we'll be back after this with one of our players today. We got Xavier Malone, and we've got Levi Evans, and we'll talk to one of those after this. You're watching the UPIKE Football Coaches Show from Buffalo Wild Wings. Welcome back to Buffalo Wild Wings, UPIKE Football Coaches Show. I'm Rick Bentley. I'm your host. He's Xavier Malone. We call him X. He's I don't know where we get that. I don't know how that nickname came about. He's our starting quarterback this year, 6'1", 187. That weight might be a little bit old.
I'm around that same, about 195.
Oh, yeah? That's what I would have thought you were closer to 2 maybe. Knoxville, Tennessee. How's K-Town?
Yes, sir. It's great. I love going back home. It's always a pleasure just going back home with family and everything. It's small, but, a lot of people love it when they're tourists and all that type of stuff. So it's great.
We you and I have a relationship. You were in one of my classes when you were an undergrad and had a good time there and got to know a little bit more about you. And then last year you graduated. You didn't come back. And so I want to ask you, what'd you do?
I was just back home working. I was doing valet back downtown. It wasn't anything I just wanted to pursue in. And my career-wise, I wanted to come back and take that to the next step as far as like a salary job instead of working hourly and getting paid that type of way. I wanted a salary work pay and just to further my education and I also come back and make a difference.
So 2 weeks ago when we played Georgetown, 39 of 58, 407. I bet you told Coach, look, I want to play quarterback, but I didn't want to throw it every time.
Nah, man, I love throwing the ball, man. Just keep it flying.
407 in the yardage. Interesting, in your career, you've had 3 300-yard games, and 2 of them were 400-yard games.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, you know how to sling it around when you get the opportunity.
Yes, sir. It's just about, anticipating the film that we watch throughout the week, the work that we put in throughout the week, and when it comes to game time, it's just a flow and getting in the rhythm of the game, so I would say.
How comfortable are you after taking a year off?
The first game, it took maybe a few drives to get back comfortable, to get the speed of the game, and, because in practice we don't take many hits, so getting hit that first time within a year, it was an adjustment, but I think it was good for me mentally and physically, and I think going into this week, much more positive, much more confident.
Good deal. So just to rehash the last game, the Georgetown game, 39 completions, second most in school history. I'll let you guess who has that record. 58 pass attempts, tied the school record. I'll let you guess who you tied.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about that dude for a minute. Lee Kirkland told me that you were the most valuable person on the sideline for him during a game, because he said X knows what I should see, and if I miss something, when I come off field, he's the first person I talk to.
Yes, sir.
That relationship was something. It was fascinating for me to watch, because in that class that you and I had together, you and Lee walked in together. You sat at the same table together.
Yes,
it was like there was no animosity. There was no rivalry. It was just two teammates who were competing for the same position.
Sure.
But then once that was decided, hey, look, I got a job to do now. I got to make you better.
Yes, sir. I think just me and him having that relationship outside of football, being able to be friends, be able to communicate on a different level. When it came to the game, we're just competing. We're competitors. So I think being able to help each other, what I don't see, what he doesn't see, I think it helped us a lot. I love Lee. That's my dog, and I'm sure he feels otherwise. But it was great having him.
Listen,
always.
he always had positive things to say about you, and really a lot of my knowledge of that relationship started in that class. But then when I started asking him about it, he was like, "Man, you think that was something? You should be on the sideline on a Saturday," because he said he's the most important person over there, even as much as Coach Phipps or anybody else over there.
Yes, sir.
And Jaleel, of course, being the quarterback coach, then he's moved on now. But I know that you guys had a solid relationship there too. Let's talk about this. In the year off, how has the system changed, if any at all?
I don't believe it's changed. There might be like small instances or small inputs that's changed, but overall the system is still the same. We have, of course, some new players, some young guys, but overall the system's still the same. We still run the same thing. We're going to do it every single time, and we're going to do it with confidence, I think. So that's the biggest part in our system.
Good thing about it is X was a all-conference quarterback. We think that, you got Lee's gone, you got a new quarterback. We don't have a new quarterback because we got a dude who is an all-conference passer, 198 completions, 316 attempts, and 2,427 yards in your career.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty good for a new guy.
I mean, we got to keep stacking. We got to keep working. I'm sure it'll be more, but the main goal is to get that championship and just keep stacking and winning games, I would say. Everything else will take care of itself.
How excited were you last year to watch this team compete for a championship?
It was very exciting. The guys that, I grew up with, I came in here with, to just see them succeed in what they wanted and actually push it to the next level. It was great, and it made me want a piece more. So.
Yeah, that's right. I want to ask you about one of the changes that happened in the time since you were here last, and that's Amon Williams.
Yes, sir.
Talking about a guy out of the backfield who can run the ball for you, he can catch the ball for you, he can do a lot of things, and that's got to be a comfort for a quarterback to have.
Most definitely, all-around back. He knows his offense. He knows everything about the game. It just makes it a lot more easier when you have that outlet. A person that can change the game at any time, outside of me and outside of anybody else, our playmakers. It's a great asset to have.
You probably know some of the receivers. You don't know him. How has that relationship developed in the course of the the 6 weeks or so you guys have been together?
Well, I would say Amon, when the year before I left, Amon was just a freshman.
And
so I did have like a small like time with him before that he popped out and had that great year. So I think it was just him learning everything, staying back, learning from Sanders, which was also a great back.
Yeah.
I think just him taking the next step and just learning and growing, maturing overall. I think that's what's helped him a lot.
Sanders was one of my kids who went through my program. He went through, I had him a lot, and I called him Jamarion. That's his actual name.
Yeah.
I think you guys probably called him Alex. Is that right?
Alex.
Well, you might have called him other things. We won't get into those. But another very similar type player. He can run it. He can catch it. He can do a lot of things for you.
Yes,
I don't know what kind of blocker he was. He probably ducked under a few of those, but those are I hadn't really thought about the comparison between those two. It's very similar players.
Two similar guys, and that's why I feel like Amon, he learned from him a lot. Sanders took him under his wing, and they were able to bounce off each other, and that's why Amon is the way he is now.
And now we're looking at Campbellsville. You've been seeing some film on them. I think that you could probably watch some film this morning.
Yes, sir.
On them.
Yes, sir.
How's that? What are your expectations there? What do you see in them?
I think the expectations going into this game is just playing ourselves. It's not about anybody else. Focus on the things that we work on throughout the week, reestablishing the things that went wrong last week, and just focusing and putting our best effort to the game in this week. I don't think Campbellsville has anything that control us. I think we control ourselves. We control our own tempo. We just have to go in and play. They're a good team. They're 2-0. So I don't think we can just go in there and lay down. We're going to have to fight. It's going to be a dog fight, and that's the best thing about it. We're just going to come out there with a win the best way we can.
Just to let everybody know how it was 2 years ago behind the scenes. When the season started, Coach wasn't sure who his starting quarterback was going to be. So we split time for a couple of weeks before, Lee just took off and did what Lee did. But, I mean, it's to compare you to Lee, I mean, it's a fair comparison. I mean, you've got a lot of the same attributes that he does.
Yes, sir. I think just the mentality of the game, having that edge on your shoulder, just to go out there and do the best thing for your teammates. Also, outside of that, creating the relationships. I think me and Lee helped each other.
Yep, no question.
Most definitely, all the time. And I think that's what's helped me going into this year, the confidence. We still talk. He sends messages after the game, before the game. So I think having that lead way on both ends is a good way.
Yeah. 58 passes. My last question to you is, shoulder sore after you throw it 58 times, or how's that work?
Just keep throwing it, man. I don't really think about that. That adrenaline's pumping all the time, especially during the game. You'll feel it after the game, but I love it, man. As many times as we can put the ball in there.
Next person I talked to is Levi. What, you got me a good Levi story?
I don't have a great Levi story, but Levi is a great guy. He came in a few years ago and was ready to work always. He's been a huge asset to our team, our defense, and I'm sure he'll make plenty of plays this week.
He's part of a linebacker core that's pretty impressive.
Yes, sir. We have a great linebacker core all across the board.
And we do, and you face those guys every day in practice, so that's got to help you get better. They may not can come in and hit you, but they can knock those passes down, so you've got to know what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
X, I appreciate you, brother, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Good luck this week. Let's get us a win.
Thank you.
That's Xavier Malone. We'll be back with Levi Evans after this. You're watching the UPIKE Football Coaches Show from Buffalo Wild Wings in Pikeville, Kentucky. Welcome back to the UPIKE Football Coaches Show. I'm Rick Bentley. Levi Evans, starting linebacker, joining us now, 6'2", 237, and a sophomore. You start one of the inside linebacker positions. I'm sure you guys have a different name for that, but
yeah, I'm at Mike right now. Mike. So yes, sir.
So you have four linebackers, and they're pretty good ones too. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, we have a pretty stacked room. A lot of talent there.
No question about it. 6 tackles against Georgetown, 4 of them for loss. Just to put that in perspective, 2 years ago, you had 4 tackles for loss for the season.
Right.
You had 4 on that Saturday against Georgetown. What do you remember about that game? What can you tell me?
It was first game for me in 2 years, and then got a new quarterback this year. Some young guys, getting their chance to start. So, it was fun. We're gonna see how we play together. I think we did pretty good for the first time, and I just enjoyed being back with my guys. So.
Well, first, welcome back, because we missed you last year. We love to have had you around for that. And I asked X the same question. I'm going to ask you now. How comfortable are you at this point?
I'm really comfortable. Like, it's just like coming back after a year, I was wondering how it'd be. And it's just like, I'd say like riding a bike, it doesn't leave you. And, you know, I'm comfortable with this team. We have a lot of talent, great coaching staff. So,
And a lot of the same faces are around that you were with a couple years ago, right?
yeah, it was great to see those guys, you know. And I wish I could have played with some of the others because last year was their last year. But, you know, good to see those guys. And I like a lot of the new guys too.
When let me ask you this question, and we'll get back to the game. So when you're off for a year, what'd you do besides sit around and miss playing football?
Yeah, that's I watched a lot of football. I just worked, and then, you know, I prayed about it, and then Coach Phipps texted me. He'd like me back the next day, so I'm blessed to be here. And I just started working, trying to get back into shape, and, you know, came back ready.
God's good, isn't he?
Yes, yes,
sure.
all the time.
So 4 tackles for loss, 19 yards. You had 2 quarterback hurries and your first career sack. So tell me about that one.
Yeah, that was great. I really wanted to get one my first year, and then, you know, we did a cross blitz. Naj got there first, and quarterback kind of dodged him, and I saw him, and I was like, oh, this is my chance. And I was so excited.
Any dancing going on there?
Just a little flexing.
There you go. We talked about the linebacker room. You mentioned Naj. We also have Carter back there. Caleb Anderson had a school record tackles in the first playoff game last year against Baker.
Right.
So there's a lot of talent in that room. What's it like when you guys get together?
Oh, man, we just love it. We try to bring the energy because we're the linebackers, and, you know, like Trevor and Caleb, man, they're always hyped up, hyping me up. You know, Naj, he's a captain, so he's always vocal, and it's just really comfortable being out there with those guys, and, you know, you can trust the guy next to you.
Who does most of the talking in that room?
Probably Caleb.
Really?
Yeah.
More than Naj?
More than Naj, yeah. It's getting close, but it's Caleb.
Those guys are a lot of fun.
Yes.
I love seeing them out. I just love seeing all you guys on campus. So 2 years ago, you led the team with 66 tackles.
Yes, sir.
That's a pretty stout season for you right there.
Thank you. Yeah. And that was really my first year getting to play after I transferred. And, you know, Coach really trusted me that year, and I just, you know, loved playing with those guys.
43 solo tackles, 23 assists that year, so you're getting a lot done. 4 tackles for loss, we've already mentioned that. You mentioned we didn't mention this in the beginning. I should have, I didn't. Kingsport, Tennessee, which is kind of the hub for this new league that we're in.
Yeah.
So when you're home, you probably see some people walking around with shirts on. I mean, some of those, you know, those schools, and you know that, you know, we play them.
Right, yeah. So I see a lot of different shirts. Milligan's really close, even though they don't have a football team. And, you know, I was actually at a cookie store and saw the UPIKE track team in Kingsport on my off year, so I was like, wow. And I just a lot of traffic going through there with these schools.
You see a lot of things down there. We spend a lot of time in Kingsport down there for, you know, I'll be down there assuming, you know, depending on how the playoffs go, I could be down there for the show. I'll be down there for the volleyball tournament, be down there for baseball, softball in the spring. And, of course, the basketball tournament is there as well, so a lot of traffic through there. And so during those periods of time, it wouldn't be uncommon to see a lot of different schools represented on their shirts, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. And my dad even went to watch the basketball team play at Meadowview and stuff. So
in the tournament.
Yeah, and we actually have a guy from my high school up here playing this year, Gabe Marshall. He's a freshman linebacker, and so UPIKE especially is getting recognition through Kingsport and those areas.
It's a great recruiting area. It's on the southern tip of our traditional recruiting area, so we should get more students out of there. But there's a lot of untapped talent down there that we need to start to do a better job of getting into, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a really underrated area. I see a lot of talent there. So, and I think these coaches are starting to realize, and they're going down there recruiting, talking to these guys.
Well, if nothing else, it is a beautiful place to be.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, I love living there. Like,
you spend much time on the lakes down there? I know there's a lot of fishing down that way.
Yeah. I actually live on the Lake Patrick Henry there, so it's always fun in the summer. And I'll have some of the guys from up here down, and we'll just have a ball.
Tell me what your goals are.
My goals this year, I want to win conference, of course. Last year wasn't a part of the team, and those guys, they went and did it. So now, I feel like I have to this year with these guys get a ring for myself and them. I would say, lead the team in tackles again. Hopefully get first team all-conference to All-American. So these are just some goals I set for myself.
In the linebacker room, is there a lot of competition? A lot of camaraderie, or how's that work out?
Yeah, it's an even balance. You got to have some competition, and the camaraderie is the best since I've been here. We're all really close.
Well, Levi, I know you're not going to do all the talking in that room because I know a couple of those dudes, and I know that's not going to happen. But the way you play on Saturdays, boy, makes a big difference right there.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to lead the guys by example, because I know there's a lot more vocal guys there. But, I know some of the young guys, they look up to us, and, I try to do the right thing.
And you're talking about some of the young guys, and you're only a sophomore, so
right.
you could lead those guys for a while.
Right, yeah. And I'm excited. I got, 2 more years, really, or 3 including this one. So I'm hoping to accomplish a lot.
Buddy, I wish you the best of luck. I appreciate you stopping by and talking to us here. Go eat your food.
Thank you so much.
We'll talk to Coach one more time after this. You are watching the UPIKE Football Coaches Show from Buffalo Wild Wings at Pikeville, Kentucky. Welcome back to the UPIKE Football Coaches Show. Rick Bentley joined by Corey Phipps again. Coach, it was interesting to talk to those two guys who have something in common. Both of them went away for a year and realized that they want to be back and be a part of this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. X went away and, worked in the social work field and then decided he needed that master's in social work, came back. And then, Levi was a guy that thought he was going to join the military and then came back. So, both those guys figured out you could be a grown-up later.
Yeah, Levi had to work some too to get back in where he needed to be. And usually at this point we're going to have an assistant coach on. 2 weeks ago we had Coach Chris Elliott on, and I was telling you during the break, Coach, that there's no question that guy's been a head coach before. He was really smooth when he put the headset on. He knew what he was doing. But I did ask Coach to come back and talk to us this week because most of the people in this room are not as old as we are. And so today being September 11th, where were you? What do you remember about that day?
Oh, man. So I was a junior college transfer from California in my first semester at Harding University in Searcy, Arkansas, where I played my 4-year football. We had chapel 5 days a week, and I was on my way a little bit late to chapel. Somebody walked by me and said, "Hey, chapel's canceled." I said, "Well, I'll go to Chick-fil-A." They said, "Well, Chick-fil-A's closed too." And I walked into the student center. I saw a bunch of people huddled around TVs, watching the events unfold there on those buildings in Manhattan. And I remember feeling really alone, being so far from home, away from my parents for the first time.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah. So, but, obviously, I guess it's the 24th anniversary of that.
Yes,
is that correct? So, 24th anniversary of that event. I think we always talk about with our guys and what that means. And for me, it means a little bit different, I think, because obviously my age, I think Xavier Malone might be the only guy that was alive. He was 1 year old when it happened, probably. But also I had a college teammate, Micah Gifford. Micah was kind of that hybrid defensive lineman, outside backer guy. He played on a really good team, and we were 9-2 and ranked in the country. And he was a great teammate, really funny, jokester, and was a ministry major who decided to graduate and enlist in the Marines. And Micah went on to pass away from a roadside bomb in Afghanistan. So strangely, I probably owe being a college coach a little bit to Micah, because basketball was a really big deal where I played, and so we decided to retire Micah's jersey at a basketball game. All of us came back, and I was coaching high school in Dallas, Texas, and so I came back for that opportunity to retire his jersey. And by the end of the weekend, I was the offensive line coach at Harding University coming back. So I probably don't segue from high school football into into college football if it wasn't for the events of 9/11 triggering Micah to do that and going back to honor him in that regard. So there's a lot of old Bison that I played with that really loved Micah. And this day is always kind of a tribute to him too.
So it was our first varsity football season.
Yeah.
We were getting ready for the Georgetown game here. It might have been, not 100% sure, might have been our first home football game. I'm not sure. Anyway, so as you remember, most college games were canceled that week. We played. But it was interesting. The decision to play that game was not on our level. It was a presidential level thing. Hal Smith, our president at that time, Georgetown's president at the time, got together and they said, okay, let's do this. Mm-hmm. So, Coach, imagine Pikeville and Georgetown getting ready to play a football game. Yeah. But when that game started, I'm sorry, the two teams didn't come out of tunnels.
Yeah.
They walked out arm in arm.
Yeah.
And they walked out every 5 yards, and the entire row was a Pikeville player, a Georgetown player, a Pikeville player, a Georgetown player.
It's way cool.
And it really was. It was really powerful. It was a way of saying, hey, look, we're all part of the same team here. I know we're gonna try our best to, to beat each other's brains in here for 60 minutes on the clock, but it was a really powerful, emotional thing to be a part of and to witness and to watch all those fans stand there in awe.
Yeah.
Watching, their guy and the other guy standing there arm in arm during the anthem and all that sort of stuff. I was really happy that we played that game that week, even though there was only about literally a half dozen games played in the entire country on every level. I was really glad that we got together with Georgetown and agreed to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I think we were on a bye week maybe that week. I don't think we played. But, yeah, I mean, it was a transformative moment for this country and for the world. And, we pay tribute and respect to those guys and gals that lost their lives in the World Trade Center towers, but also in the Pentagon and those planes, but also, those who went on to serve, and it was a catalyst for them to serve this country in many different facets and ways.
We actually had a recent alum in the Trade Center and survived that.
Yeah, that's wild.
It really is. It was quite a time to be alive and to be a part of, and we try to explain it to these student athletes and our students now who weren't alive when it happened, and it's crazy to think that we're to that point now.
Yeah, I try to think about it kind of like hearing about Pearl Harbor when I was growing up. So, yeah, I do get that. And, and the conversation we'll have with our team today is, that some people that made sacrifice and that love this country and that there's sin in the world and that the world is crazy right now and that we love each other in this locker room and on this campus and that, we respect each other and what the words we say, even though we may not agree with each other all the time, are words of respect and love.
I read a former president say yesterday with what happened yesterday that we needed that in this world, is that we look at people across the aisle and see them as our enemy, and they're not. They're our fellow citizens. Yeah. And we should all look at it like that.
Absolutely. But with all that said, we got to have a great practice today.
Yes, we do.
A great ball game and excited to head off to Campbellsville.
When do you leave?
11 o'clock tomorrow. We'll head down. We'll have a walkthrough at UK, and then we will spend a little time at Malibu Jacks playing some arcade games with the guys and have a good team meal and spend a night in Lexington. And then the next morning we'll hop up, have some meetings. 7 o'clock kick over there, so we'll leave about 2 or 3 o'clock the afternoon from Lexington and get there and be there and ready to roll.
Always interesting the way you guys do it because, yes, it's a football trip, but it's also educational opportunity.
Yeah, we always try to do a few things during the course of the year when we can on these overnight trips to visit with the guys at some places and do some things. So college football is an experience. College athletics is an experience. We want our guys to have a great experience.
We want them to understand the importance of playing football and being part of a team, but also that, there's other things going on in this world. Let's look at them.
That's absolutely. So we're excited to get busy, get going. If you get a chance, come watch us, guys, and come on the road with us. We'd love to have you there in Campbellsville Stadium.
Okay, so before we leave, on a lighter note.
Yeah.
Soccer teams played yesterday, Coach.
Yeah.
How about this? Women's soccer, so you got the coaching staff here.
Yeah, we've invited women's soccer over here to eat with us today.
Undefeated on the season.
Yeah.
3-0-1. They're 2-0 in the league.
I think they're 4-0-1 now.
You're out there, are 4-0-1. And the men's.
I hired that guy, so I can't keep track of his record.
And I told somebody last night, for a guy who didn't win a game last year, he's doing awful well here. I'll tell you.
With that said, he didn't coach last year, so
Right.
he wasn't for where he was at.
He was great. He's
Yeah.
been great with us. And the men's soccer team, 2-0 in the conference as well.
Yeah.
They've got things going in the right direction there. And I know as the AD, you're proud of those things.
I am. I sent a few, kind of kudos, text messages to those guys last night and this morning, and then kind of around some people around campus that soccer matters to, and said, soccer's on the rise here. It's a University of Pikeville. We need to support these folks. So,
absolutely.
I think our department overall is doing some big things, some great things, and we're excited to continue to push those things forward.
I will tell you, as I know how busy you are, that the crowds are getting bigger at those soccer games. They're really.
They are.
I said the biggest crowd we ever had at soccer, the biggest two crowds we ever had last year were both last year. One was when the bowling team volunteered because they brought 60 people with them, and the other was that playoff game because the men were there to support the women, and the football team was coming into practice.
Yeah.
And when they won that game, that dog pile in the middle of the field had 200 people in it.
It did.
It was really fun to watch. Also, Coach, this stat about the men's soccer team in their two conference wins, they scored more goals than the other teams had shot on goals.
Yeah, they're playing unbelievable defense now. I know Coach Ollie's an offensive guy and wants to score and those things, but, man, when I watch him play, envious a little bit of their defense at times.
They get after it, don't they? Coach, I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
And we'll go ahead and get out of here. But soccer plays starting at 3 o'clock, 3 and 5:30 on Saturday. So if you can't go to Campbellsville, come out and support those people. They deserve it too, and they are a lot of fun to watch and to be around. You'll get a chance to talk to them and catch up with them and all that stuff around their games. So for Coach Phipps and for our players who joined us today, I'm Rick Bentley. We'll see you next week here on the UPIKE Football Coaches Show.